All right, good morning. I'm here to show you how to make our graphs in Excel on the iPad. This should be a refresher to some of the classes from last week and new to others, just depending on how much in-class time we had. The first thing that I need to make sure that I have is Notepad or OneNote in my bar down bottom here. If it is not there, you can click and hold on an app and do Edit Home Screen, and that will allow you to drag it down and add it to the bar. The split screen that I'm going to do is only going to work if you have the second app in this dock. Now that that's there, I need to go up and open up Microsoft Excel because that's where we're going to be making our graph. Once Excel is open, I am just going to do a new document, and I'm going to do a blank workbook when this option comes up, and that should give me a nice blank Excel sheet to work in. Now I need to pull up from the bottom to allow this dock to appear again. I'm going to click and hold on OneNote and then drag it over, and whenever the screen splits, I'm going to drop it in. This will allow me to have my worksheet on the right here that I can read from while I'm making my data table and graph on the left. If you read the directions, it says using Excel that we've just opened, make a data table that we're going to do now, create the appropriate type of graph, and you'll need to refer to your notes to figure out what graph that is, and then we're going to insert the table and graph below in this white space provided. Please make sure that you attach all three of those graphs before you hit the turn in button on the assignment. Just to clarify, I want the graph and table inserted in this document. Do not attach it as a separate file. So to do that, the first thing I need to do is read through this problem, and I can see that we are looking at a study of squirrel populations, and we're going to be having it range on different years. So to get the ability to type in this cell, I'm going to click on A1, and it should highlight here. And then I need to click next to this FX in the bar up top where I can type. And my first column is going to be years, since we're looking at multiple years going through this problem. The second column is going to be squirrels. It's very important to make sure that I have column A and column B with data in it. I do not want to have a blank column here and have squirrels in C. So please make sure underneath of A you have years, and underneath of B you have squirrels. Now I need to read through this problem again, and I can see that my years are going to range from 2010 to 2016. So I'm going to type those over here: 2010, 2011, 2012, all the way through 2016. All right, now that that's completed, I need to scroll back up and fill in the number of squirrels that this field biologist found during each of those years. So it looks like in the first year, he had 229 squirrels. In the second year, he had 61. In the next year, there were 26. Then there were 12. Then 10. Then 7. Then 3. I'm going to collapse that keyboard. So now I've done the first part of what the directions here ask me to do. I've created a data table in Excel that quickly shows all of the information that this paragraph here is telling me. The next thing I need to do is create the appropriate type of graph. In this graph, by looking at it quickly, we can see that it is supposed to show the change in a squirrel population over a set time period. So if you refer back to our notes, The best graph to use whenever we are trying to show change over time is going to be a line graph. So I'm going to insert a line graph. First thing I need to do is click in this top cell here where the year 2010 is. Then I'm going to grab this little green dot down here in the bottom right and drag it so that I select my entire data table. Again, it's very important to make sure that I do not select a blank cell down here or a blank column on this side. That's going to mess up our graph. Now that this data table is selected, I'm going to go up top to Insert, and I may need to scroll over to get to Chart. And Excel looks at our data that we have and recommends charts for us. And I can look here and see that I have a line graph as my top recommended chart. Now I have that inserted. We're almost finished up. So during our graphing notes, we talked about some important things that each of these graphs need. We have a title here now, but it's not very, very descriptive. So I need to double click where it says chart title, and it's going to give me the ability to change that text. And I'm going to make it something that's fitting of this data. So squirrel populations. Now, I don't need a key for this graph since I only have one type of data, but I am missing my titles on my Y and my X axis. So to get that, I need to click on the graph and make sure that I have this barrier around the outside. That's going to select this chart option, and it's going to give me all kinds of things that I can change about this chart. But I need to go to Elements and Axis Titles and make sure that I turn on both of those titles. Now, just like when I edited my text for squirrel population, I need to change both of these from axis title to something more descriptive. So I'm going to double click, and this side here is showing me the squirrels, and the bottom is the year. All right, so now I have all of my requirements finished up for this graph. The last thing that you're able to do is, if I select a graph again, I can go into style and change up some colors, make it look more personalized to me. And I can go to colors here as well, and pick some different color schemes just to make it, again, match what you think it should look like a little bit better. So the last part of that assignment said to insert it into my document. So to take a screenshot here, I'm going to click my lock screen button on the top of your iPad and my home button on the bottom at the same time, and that's going to take a screenshot. From there, I can click the picture in the bottom left, and I'm going to drag these four corners to make it where it just shows my data table and my graph, because I don't need to see all this stuff around the top. So I'm going to drag those corners up, and it's going to zoom it in where I can see just my graph, and I'm going to hit done. And I'm going to save it to my photos. So now I have this nice data table on my iPad. I can double click my home button and go back to OneNote. From here, the last thing I need to do is add that completed graph and data table to this document. So I am going to insert and go to picture. If you're not seeing picture and it's grayed out, make sure that you click somewhere in the body of this document, and then that'll make those options become available. But in pictures, it'll let me go to my photos that are on here, and I can put that picture in. Done. Finally, just to move it and make it nice and centered pretty on here, if I touch this little cross here, it'll let me drag it and put it where I need to be, and I can make it a little bit bigger since I have the space. Now that first graph is completed, and I can go through and do the same thing for number 2 and number 3. Again, please make sure that you have all 3 of these inserted like this before you hit turn in. But once you have them all done, you can go ahead and turn that in. If you have any questions or run into any more issues, please email me and I will answer you as quick as possible. But you do need to have all 3 of these graphs completed by Thursday if you are in Group B, or by Monday of next week if you are in Group A. Again, any issues, please email me.